We must reach this goal to stay on track and to end our full membership.
Here's Johnny. Thank you. Well, hello there, everybody. Social media family. Being of any subscribers and our visitors alike, of any person among yourselves who are affiliated, associated with, and are representing my own particular YouTube social media channel, and likewise chat room or comment section. How are you all doing? Well, hopefully everyone is doing at least okay, if not better yet to be said all right. If not best of all, whereas it could be put like this here, whereas any of your persons can claim to have become blessed, or say that you feel blessed or feel more blessed and stressed, or too blessed to possibly become or be stressed. You and yours, family, friends, and hopefully me and mine likewise as well. All the same, at least in one regard, if not another, or at least, to be feeling, okay, if not better yet, to be said, steady for the record, all right, or if not best of all, to be put like this here, whereas any of us can or could possibly claim to feel blessed and stressed, more blessed and stressed, too blessed to possibly become or be stressed. And moving right on. Anyway, though, whereas that being of the present social media broadcast as we have it, being of some such video content, whereas I wish to give my own take or narrative per perspective or views and opinions as it is regarding or making reference to a most controversial, not one of the more controversial, but most controversial subject matters. What I meant to say, Prince of Peace, continue back in my mind compared to Prince of Top. This attempts to confuse my speech. Not that I meant to sound or seem like Elmer Fudd or sliced along with the speech impediment or voice defect at the moment or verbal malfunctioning or dysfunctioning voice box or whatever I said, or like one of our late presidents of USA, or the present one for that matter, who could possibly be, with dual diagnosis of malfunctioning or dysfunctioning with a memory lapse episode. But anyway, though, whereas the present social media broadcast, being as it is, video content, is having to do with regarding making some such reference to how 3 white guys had chased down this one poor black guy, regardless of whether he himself, being the latter, was supposed to have been or is an American citizen or a foreign immigrant. And whereas they had mercilessly beat the crap out of him, beat him to death, as a matter of fact, in cold blood. And as they had taken matters into their own hands, like, to come off like practically, if not possibly, like some kind, sort of type of vigilantes, not that they could possibly justify their actions, seeing how the black guy had done nothing. No, he did not do anything that would warrant and or justify their physical actions of extreme violence that they had orchestrated, initiated, and or perpetrated against his person. Other than that, he himself, being the poor black guy, had supposedly aroused their suspicions that the black guy was some kind of a neighborhood prowler or predator. Somewhere down south. I'm sorry if I cannot recall correctly where about down south, but it was somewhere down south. That much I do know. Be it were to have been for Alabama, Georgia, or the Carolinas, or wherever. And where they had caught him in a barn that was supposed to be up under construction, as I'm hearing it, whereas he fled from such, and they gave chase. And whereas 2 out of the 3 white guys, whereas they had, you know, violently physically attacked him, whereas the third white guy was filming the hate crime incident. So he would be considered as an accessory to the hate crime, regardless of whether or not these white guys were supposed to have been closet Klan or closet neo-Nazi, closet neo-Nazi Caucasian members to, the Invisible Empire or the Aryan Nation, as racist redneck pukes of white male characters. But regardless, though, they had beaten the crap out of him. They beat him senselessly, mercilessly, beat the crap out of him, beat him into a coma, and beat him to death. And whereas fortunately, all three white guys were charged, tried, and convicted of a hate crime, of a senseless murder. But then here it is, like 5 years later, they have petitioned the court to try to seek, qualification or eligibility for the early release program after they had been convicted, whereas they had been given a life sentence without possibility of parole, and whereas it would be a great social injustice if these three, excuse my name, pardon my French, dickhead pricks were to be released, then what would be, the reason then to have, tried, that is, what would be the reason to have charged, tried, and convicted them if their sentences could be so lightly, taken seriously, and then be, with the sleight of hand, like a card game play, be so easily reversed? Well, not that I am, speculating upon the worst, but you have got to recognize and realize when, America, the United States of America, has that quite a negative legacy of chronicled history of social injustices orchestrated, initiated, and or perpetrated against any races of ethnic minorities, and particularly, specifically, and especially when it comes to any blacks, and whereas the first runner-up to blacks becoming subject to experiencing hate crimes or that of civil and human rights violation offenses is supposed to be our brown or Hispanic brothers and sisters, and whereas the other men of the white Jewish, they are some way, somehow, somewhere in the mix, some kind of way to be said and stated for the record, So to permit these racist redneck pukes to get off so easily by a sleight of hand, to be given nothing more than a slap on the wrist after doing 5 years in the can, and then to be considered as time served and then released back into the general public, that would be a great social injustice in my own personal views and opinions. Whereas if anything, they should rot in the can and not be released until they are dead as a doorknob, becoming one of the deceased, not any longer in the land of the living, and only be carted away out of the can, in a body bag with a toe tag attached to it. That's just my own personal views and opinions, Because how is you going to chase a black guy down like that, Two of you in the pickup truck, the other, holding some kind of camcorder, videotaping all this hate crime, more than circumstantial evidence against them, then whereas it would be considered as incriminating evidence against the three old white guys who had cold-bloodedly come off like some such supposed so-called vigilantes, beating the crap out of this black guy, in a minute's notice. Is that what I meant to say? No, without the least or slightest hesitation, as they got to assuming that he was guilty of something, regardless of whether or not. Is that what I'm saying? No, regardless of whether he was just running away from the three white guys, being because he himself sees that he's outnumbered, and he himself don't know what their man's intentions could possibly be as they were staring him down, then gave chase, so obviously, evidently the adrenaline was running and he was in fear of his life, regardless of whether or not he himself had done or did anything. Is that what I'm missing? No, he did not do anything. It was, researched or investigated that he had done nothing at all to warrant or justify, that being the hate crime that was orchestrated, initiated, or perpetrated against him. Whereas these three white guys were as guilty as sin, whereas their guilt was like they had so much dirt on them, and now they are hoping to get some kind of sweet deal, whereas they could be released after cold-bloodedly chasing down this black guy, murdering, killing him, senselessly killing him, mercilessly in cold blood, like they were hunting down an animal, like an English fox hunt or something. With our kissing cousins of the Brits on horseback, chasing down a fox or a rabbit with their bloodhounds of dogs or canines and animal species of creatures. No, we must not permit this social injustice to take place. You hear? It must not be permitted. Each and every one of these three white guys should be rotten in a can. They're dirty, rotten, Johnny Rotten cells. I mean, talk about a vintage classic pop culture song number. Johnny Rotten, Johnny Rotten. And no offense or disrespect is meant to be directed at the deceased for the last mention. But then you all know how that one ditty goes. Boom, 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 boom. I suppose somebody want to come off like vigilantes on these three white guys, Talk about a race riot that would be brewing regardless if these three white guys were to be released via that the early release program, Whereas if anything should be a closed and shut case of not happening. This time the American judicial system is going to get things right. We're going to prove that we will not tolerate any kind of senseless hate crime, senseless or merciless hate crime. We American citizens, regardless of race or walk of life, faction, society, lifestyle preference, hopefully some of stuff that is close to normal so far that last mention. We will prove ourselves to be Iron Men for social injustice. For social justice, rather, I meant to say something like that. We'll prove ourselves to be Iron Man and Iron Woman for that matter, for social justices. Tony Stark makes you feel he's the coolest cat with the heart of steel. He's Iron Man. Boom, 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 boom. Not let these racist redneck pukes, get away with murder. Otherwise, there could be a hate crime brewing, If the boys in blue didn't get things right for that matter, let alone the attorneys or lawyers and, psychiatrists or psychologists, as well as judges, juries, and prosecutors. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to share with you all as a present. Give me time, get my own take. perspective, a narrative, or my own personal views and opinions in due regard in reference to these matters of that particular social injustice as it has been brought to mind, similar to another, being of which I have yet to do a future broadcast of social media content upon, so far as what was the elementary school teacher principal that had taken advantage of some such underage minors or the male youth, like he himself was coming off like a gay pedophile Catholic priest wannabe. Not that all Catholic priests and Catholic nuns are with you all, and hopefully you can get to meditating upon it and give your own views and opinions, but hopefully without coming off like some internet troll characters in the negative, but to give your own positive output and to relate to what I'm saying, and being sympathetic and empathetic, in due regard in reference to this rather controversial subject matter or topic of discussion to be debated or given an argument with many different views and opinions to be affiliated, associated with, and representing some such thereof. And on this last note of interest, I would like to say, if you haven't gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so now while the blood is still running warm in your veins, by recognizing or realizing what he himself had done or did upon the cross, Calvary, and Golgotha, suffering at the hands of Roman soldiers upon the orders of their superiors, religious, political, militarists, etc., and mainly mostly religious Pharisees and Sadducees. But then there less was he himself had went to that cross of Calvary to become a perfect sacrifice, the only sacrifice for you as well as for me. Don't steal my trademark physical gesture. I'm going to have to copyright it sometime unless I want to risk it being plagiarized. Whereas if any of us, regardless of race, walk of life, faction of society, lifestyle preference, age, gender, and etc., were to profess some such faith in them, from there we become sorry about the compulsive physical gesture of disorder. I'm going to have to get it checked out at a hospital and then possibly follow up at a clinic. But anyway, whereas if any of us, regardless, if we were to profess some such faith in him, being as we are of the human species, and recognize what he himself had done, being God who was transformed in human flesh of a male to restore the breach between mankind and himself as God in human flesh or humankind. Whereas if we were to profess faith in him, from there we come be blessed one regard another, more ways than one. First and foremost, with his salvation, being of which is the only means by which any of us can or could possibly become citizens of the kingdom of heaven. I don't care what Oprah Winfrey or anybody else says otherwise. You can believe a lie if you want. You'll be in for a rude awakening as you will wake up. That's end up elsewhere is what I mean to say. But then second of all, first of all, we have the salvation of citizenship of the kingdom of heaven, and the only fire insurance against the fiery flames, lake of fire, damn hell. The second of all, we will be blessed with his deliverance. But first, you have got to get his salvation. Otherwise, you have nothing coming so far as blessings concerned. Whereas if you make that transition for the great beyond here after the afterlife, and you don't have this salvation, blood sacrifice, then your final destination will be the lake of fire down hell with the rest of the unsaved, lost down human souls, the unbelievers and unbelievers. Be tortured and terrorized by the devil and demons to be burned forever, compared to how we as believing God will be crossed the great divide that separates heaven from hell and come to like-minded believers and present God and angels, even so be blessed down here upon the planet, hopefully become a blessing on the other by sharing with the gospel message. You all take care. We out. Peace.